Going back to the basics in this one, we will be talking about how tattoo stencil paper works. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment down below. I'll do my best to assist in the best possible direction. On a side note, this is the Fundamental Tattoo Handbook, which I do elaborate more on tattoo stencil paper and more. This book is available on my Amazon author page. Head on over to Amazon.com, type in Daniel Yuck. You'll see this workbook amongst an assortment of others pop right on up. Starting with the sheet first, right here is a standard piece of stencil paper. There are multiple brands, so you're gonna have to go through different brands to see which one you like best. I recommend Spirit Stencil Paper, in which I will be leaving my Amazon affiliate links for you down in the description below, so you can check it out on your end. With most brands of stencil paper, we get a top layer, which is going to be where we print our design onto. So back here is where the design would get printed onto. That's gonna be the top sheet. This is going to be the sheet separator. This sheet actually comes right on out, as you see, and it separates the next sheet, which is going to be the carbon film sheet, from the sheet that we print onto or draw onto. So layer 1 is this sheet, layer 2 is going to be this sheet, layer 3 is going to be the film sheet right here, which has the carbon print, and the last sheet is like a stabilizer sheet, which is a bit thicker than the rest of the sheets here. So this is more used for like a support. So they all have their purpose. The first sheet is what the stencil gets printed on or drawn onto. This is what we put onto the client's skin. That's the purpose of that first sheet. The second sheet is to keep the first sheet clean from the third sheet, which is going to be the carbon. So this right here is the carbon dye, which is on the third sheet, but it's not like a paper. It's actually more of like a plastic film, as you can see here. But this is going to be the third sheet. The purpose of that is to transfer the design to the first paper to transfer over to the client or fake skin. The last sheet is more of a stabilizer. That is the fundamental, I guess, acts here that each paper serves. They all have their purpose. Each layer is necessary. We can go about creating a tattoo stencil in one of two ways, or actually a few different ways. We can, one, directly freehand straight onto the stencil paper. To do that, all we would need is a pin of some sort, and then we would simply remove this separator sheet, put this back down, and then begin drawing straight on here, creating our design, which is going to be transferred to this side right here. This is the side that we would put down onto the client. That is one way that we can create a tattoo stencil. Another way is to print artwork on a separate sheet of paper and then essentially trace it onto here, which is much like the first one. The only difference is we have a guide and a trace going on as opposed to freehanding. The third one, which is going to be my personal favorite, we can print using a thermal printer directly onto the paper. I prefer to print because it saves valuable time and energy. I don't have to draw the stencil multiple times. Not only that, I'm able to print multiple line weights and worry about the application and not so much drawing it in perfectly. It's important to know, it doesn't matter which one of the three I choose to take. I'm always going to remove this separator sheet so that way I can transfer my design and get that transferred from the carbon. If I put pressure into here, we're going to be putting pressure onto this sheet, which the carbon is going to transfer to this sheet. This is not the sheet that we want to transfer to. This is just the separator sheet. We want to transfer to the top page right here. To do so, all we would do is just simply find a spot and then write your design in there, and then you're going to see that it transfers to the back like so. It really is that easy. Depending on the paper that you are using would determine the quality of your stencil if you freehand it, and even when you print, depending on the brand is going to determine the quality of the print and draw. To each their own. You're going to have to mess around with a few until you find one that you like. I would recommend, once again, Spirit Stencil Paper. But that is the idea. That is essentially how stencil paper works. We have this back sheet, which stabilizes it. We have the middle film sheet, which is where the design gets transferred from. And then we have this front sheet, which is where the design gets transferred to. You can see here's another brand of stencil paper. We get different quality for different settings. We can get very elaborate with our designs here. This is more of like realism designs right here, printed onto thermal. Here we go right here. But that is the idea behind a print. You could see that printing yields much cleaner results, in my opinion. Everything is nice, clean, and consistent in terms of line weight You get the idea. Here's another printed design. So this one's supposed to be like half realism, half traditional. You can see everything comes out nice, clean, and consistent, as opposed to freehanding. So for example, if I show you this one right here. Now, I'm not sure if it's that dark because it transferred or because I broke through the paper with the pen. However, that's really saturated, but the light weights are all inconsistent because of my freehanding onto the paper. You get the idea though. What I'm trying to prove here is that if we were to print our designs, we are going to get much more readable and cleaner stencils than we would have just simply freehanding. That is going to also vary from artist to artist depending on their capabilities. Here's another print quality. This one's like a blue stencil paper. This one isn't my favorite. You can see it's kind of faded. However, all the pixel integrity were still captured and I would still be able to work with these stencils right here. However, the quality is going to vary from brand to brand when we print and or freehand in there, and that's what I'm trying to show you here. You can see with this stencil paper, I was able to capture really delicate fine lines. Everyone's going to be different. So depending on what you're needing from your stencil paper would determine which one's going to be best for you, or let alone which approach would be best for you. Now that will be it for this one. I won't get into printing as I have made videos on how I go about printing. I will leave them carded up for you so you can check those out. That'll be it for this one. That's all I have for you today. However, before I go, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment down below. I'll do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. If you found this video helpful, consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my YouTube channel, as I'll be bringing more videos like this for you all. With that being said, I appreciate you, your time, and your support. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day.